Father, we thank you so much for the day. We thank you so much for the opportunity to gather, the opportunity to once again just honor you and praise you and love you this morning. And Father, that's what we're here for. It's not about us. It's not about what we're looking for. It's about giving to you what you deserve. And Father, we just hope that this morning we love you to our fullest. And having a service with us, we pray this in your Son's name. Amen.
Please stand. I'm here to be with you. Come and meet with me. I'm here to find you. Reveal yourself to me as I wait. You make me strong as I long Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer that calls me from a world of care and bids me at my Father's throne, make all my wants and wishes known. In season of distress and grief, my soul has often found relief, and oft escaped the tender snare. By God return, sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer. The joys I feel, the bliss I share, of those whose anxious spirits burn with strong desires of thy return. With such I hasten to the place where God my Savior shows His face, and gladly take my station there, and wait for thee, sweet hour of prayer. In Christ alone, my hope is found. He is my light, my strength, my song. This cornerstone, this solid ground, firm through the fiercest drought and storm. What heights of love, what depths of deep, when fears are still, when striving cease, my comforter, my all in all. Here in the love of Christ I stand, in Christ alone, who took on flesh, fullness of God and helpless faith. This gift of love and righteousness, scorned by the ones He came to save, till on the cross, as Jesus died, the wrath of God was satisfied for every sin. On Him was laid, here in the
attention, there's the entire life of Christ laid out before you. And this morning we come to celebrate that. We come to celebrate that He gave His life and that He rose again. What a victory that is for us. And so we prepare our hearts and minds to partake of that sacrifice, the cup and the juice. So let's prepare ourselves as we pray. Father, we thank you for the opportunity we have to come to the table to sit with you and to remember your Son, the sacrifice made for us that our sins can be washed away. Father, this morning we just remember that as we come to the table, as we partake. Father, we just pray that you'll bless us as we take Him in to strengthen us. Father, that we can honor Him through it. Father, just guide us to this time. Bless the cup and the loaf. We pray in your Son's name. Amen. Just reminds me that when you have guests, sometimes you have to explain what we do and how we do it with the 2 cups and different things. And some churches take it all at once and they wait, and some people, so I had to explain to the guys in the back row. Drew has a crew here today with him. His son Daniel and his son Justin and Cliff and Jay. They were all out. They're all here to help me. So I didn't have to go anywhere yesterday, and I caught 2 alligators. So that's amazing. But
so it's safe to call them the Drew crew.
Drew crew. I don't know if they would like that name. But saying that because people can give in all sorts of different ways. I mean, they don't know what kind of help that is, that it frees me up to do a day of other things that I have to get done and stuff like that, and do things. And when I was thinking of that last night when they were out and doing that, I said, how often do we do things that frees God up to do others? See, if I'm living for Him and I'm giving an offering of my life to Him, then I can free Him up to go and meet that person that needs Him more at that moment, because I'm out doing what He would normally do. I don't know if you ever thought of it that way, but that your offering, your gift, your thing that you give to Him, maybe does that to free Him up. And I know God can be everywhere and everybody and all at one time, but still it's a neat thought that I can lend a hand to God through what I do for Him. And lending a hand, I can give Him my talents, my gifts, my abilities. I can give Him an offering here, my monies, to be used to do those things that He needs done in His kingdom to reach others. And that's what it's all about, is reaching others. So we're not the only ones going, but we're taking everybody with us. And so through this offering today, we want God to bless it, that it can be used through the church to bless others, to reach others. So this morning, give as a cheerful giver gives. Smile and do that. And if you don't have anything to give, reach in the purse or pocket next to you. Give like you will. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to once again be able to return to you a portion of what you have blessed us with our gifts, our abilities, our talents, and our ministry. And Father, we just pray that as we give, that Father, they'll be used rightly in your kingdom, that others will be drawn to you because of it. Father, just bless the gift and the giver this morning. We pray this in your Son's name. Amen.
We bring the sacrifice of praise into the house of the Lord. We bring sacrifice of praise into the house of the Lord. And we offer up to you the sacrifices of thanksgiving. And we offer up to you the sacrifices of joy. We bring sacrifice of praise into the house of the Lord. We bring sacrifice of praise into the house of the Lord. And we offer up to you the sacrifices of thanksgiving. And we offer up to you the sacrifices of joy.
So, Wyatt, you saw how Remy did that this morning, right? You saw that, how easy it was? It was kind of easy, wasn't it? Nerve-wracking? Yeah. So, don't worry about it. Wyatt's in a couple weeks, so. We're doing So, we'll start off talking a little bit this morning. Getting that 5:15 call. It was actually 4:15 in the morning, which I'm trying to figure out why someone is out at 4:15 in the morning to see an alligator. Because she was out because the donuts get delivered to the gas station at 4. And she was getting her first choice. And I thought to myself, that's dedication. That you'll get up at 4 in the morning to go to the gas station to be the first to get your donuts. I don't know if she ate them right then or if she was going to go back to bed and eat them when she finally got up in the real daylight or what. But just kind of different. But time. How many of you realized last night we were turning time ahead? How many of you went to bed early because of it? Like me? No. How many of you are a little tired this morning? How many of you are a little tired this morning? She's not listening, because in Sunday school she said, I need to go back to bed.
She's waking up. I'm sleeping right now.
Oh. That's what it is. So, time is one of those things that you have to look at and you have to say, okay, I've got, and I don't know if you realize this, 24 hours in a day. Anybody have more than 24? You have 24 hours a day, and how many of you plan your day? Really? Just two of you? You try to? You know, I have a, and Drew can adhere to this. I have a tentative plan every day. And it's tentative because my phone can ring at any given time for any given thing. It might be Teresa at the firehouse calling saying, hey, you forgot to sign checks this weekend, can you come this morning? That's going to divert me. It could be someone from church calling and saying, hey, last week was Tracy Walker going to the hospital doing that, and it was her Mike's mom and dad's birthday and stuff like that. So, you know, didn't know if anyone would make it by this. You have to go by. You have to do things. You just do because of things that are there. And so you rearrange that schedule. You know, yes, I catch gators, and we schedule some of those in, but that's really the last priority. You know, the first priority in my timing is church. It is God. It is what His people or He needs from me. And we try to make it work out that way and do those different things. It's interesting when you look that you only have 24 hours a day and you get up sometimes at 5:30, 6 o'clock, and when you get home that night it's 9:30, 10 o'clock. No one ever do that? How many of you like eating dinner at 10 o'clock at night? You know, those nights are, if Dawn's cooked something, it's there, you eat it. If not, it's just a bologna sandwich or something like that and to bed with you kind of thing. But time runs out. Time is one of those things that you can never make up for. If I miss this next hour, if I slept an extra hour, I missed that hour. There's an hour I don't have in my day to work, and so my schedule gets shoved together. So every hour that we are given is precious. If you've ever come close to leaving this world, you understand how precious and how you need to make each moment count when those times come. In the Bible, it talks about those things. And we've used this verse before, but it's in Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. I use my backup glasses. I've got my own.
They're so cute.
Whoever bought these and put these up here,
They match your shirt.
they're a godsend sometimes, but boy, they really make me look weird.
You're welcome.
And Gary said, that makes you look weird. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. Starts this way: there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What does the worker gain from his toil? Yes, the question at the end of it, I mean, what do you gain at the end of your day? It's going to depend on what your day consisted of. Now, we've been talking the last couple of weeks about giving it to God, being His, being focused, I mean, making sure that God has His time. I tell you all the time about my time of worship with Him and reading the Bible and prayer and different things like that. And we refer to it as our hour. I'm just be honest with you, it's never an hour. Things come up, things go on. I try to get that half hour of time in where I spend plenty of time in worship and plenty of time in reading the Scriptures and plenty of time in thinking of the Scriptures and then prayer. And I'm kind of like, I've learned in Sunday school, kind of like Harvey and someone, and Jeff, I have a list. And I add to that list, and people call me or get me on social media and say, hey, add me. And I add them to the list. And every now and then you have to go through that list and ask them, hey, what about, I mean, this is gonna sound bad, but I'm gonna tell you it. We used to print the prayer list and put it in our bulletins here when we had bulletins. And we prayed and prayed and prayed for this one person who was on the list. And finally one Sunday we said, who was that? Who put that on the list? And is that, oh, they died a year ago. Now there's no problem praying for that person or for their family for that year, but you know, to not know that they're on your list, to know, and on my list I try to keep close track of what's on, what's there, who's on. I mean, we're praying for Riley, we're praying for little Grace, we're praying for people that have been asked. Those go on my list. And so it's neat when someone updates it and says, here's what it is, because, and no way am I saying that it's a waste of time, but I don't want to waste my time on someone that's been gone a year. When there are other people who might need that prayer that day more. And so you look at those things, and so time becomes precious, and he says there's a time for everything. There's a time for us to be here, and there's a time for us to be out there. And that time depends on what we're doing. You know, what are we here for this morning? Worship. Worship of who? That benefits who? God. What does benefit us? But we're doing it for the benefit of God. Because we love Him. Because we adore Him. Because we want to. This is not a time of us looking for self. Okay? It's not like, okay, I'm going to go to church, but here's what I want to get out of it. It's not what you get, it's what you give. And in most of life, you're going to find that out. It's not what you get, it's what you give. And if you give, then you get. I mean, it means a whole lot more to me to be able to help someone out than it is for me to help myself. It means a whole lot more at Christmas to give gifts to people that I want to and that I love, that I really want to do, than it is for me to buy myself something. And you can attest, I can attest, let me just tell you. I have one pair of blue jeans. One. And I just refuse to go spend that money on those pants. But I need them because the one pair of blue jeans I have, this entire leg is ripped out now. And I've got a hole in my rear. And it's kind of like, they're wearing it. I have one pair of black jeans who are in very similar shape. And they're long enough that I walk on the heels of them, and so the whole back end of them are frayed. You know, I used to wear them to church, and then they got to a point that I said, okay, I can no longer wear them to church because they just look bad. I have two pairs of khaki pants and one pair of black. That's it for my wardrobe. You know, if it goes beyond that, it's like, and well, go buy yourself a pair of pants. You know, I wish you knew my size. Then you could buy it. I just hate doing it. I hate spending the money. I hate doing the thing. I mean, shirts are given to me. I don't buy them. I mean, people give me shirts for birthdays or Christmas, stuff like that. And I've got shirts that I wear. My black one with Mickey Mouse on it, that's 14 years old. And I'm still like, I think it's dressy enough. I think it's dressy enough that I can wear it. You know, and you just keep, because I just don't. My time is spent on something else, and I don't put time in for shopping and stuff. Well, qualify that. I do spend a little time in shopping. I like Sam's Club. And I like walking through to see what they have and you know, see if they have something that I need that I didn't know I needed, but they know I needed it, kind of thing, and go get that. And I'll spend a little time there, but it's still a quick run. That you get the card and you go and you get the drinks and whatever else you're getting and you get out of there, kind of thing. And when you do that, it's to save the time for those things that you deem are most important. How many of you make time for family? How many of you make time for friends? How many of you ever said, oh, I wish I would have? You know, I wish I could. I mean, yesterday was the funeral for my brother-in-law's mom, you know, and if you didn't get there to see her, you might have wished you would have. When you don't realize how much time they have left. And when time is done, there is no more. All of us have faced at some point in our life a loss, a death, or something like that, and you wish. I mean, this week I was doing something, and I saw a person. And I'm going to tell you this. I thought it was my dad. And it immediately brings back a memory. Oh gosh, he's been gone 25, 27 years. And it's just as fresh in your mind as that. And you wish that, oh man, that time's gone. So you have to do with the time you have to do those things that you need to do. To be with the people that you want to be with to do those things. Now I'm telling you all this about time because Billy Graham did a great article called Using Time Wisely. And he has 4 points in it. I took his 4 points and I changed them slightly. I added to some of what he had said. But here's how it lays out. Your time should be split into 4 categories every day. Number 1 category, spend the gift wisely. And what he means by that is, life itself is a gift. Scripture tells us we're not promised a tomorrow. And we have to do today what we need to get done. So if you're sitting here this morning and you know somebody that needs your help, if you know somebody that needs God, if you know a family member or somebody that you wish they were here, then today's the day that you have to do that because we're not promised a tomorrow. It says spend the gift wisely. So if God gifted you today, what are you going to do with it? Well, you started off okay. You're here in church. You're giving back to God a little bit of the gift that He gave you, a little bit of your time and your life to worship Him. What do you do when you walk out the door? You have the rest of that gift, the rest of that day to spend, and how will you spend that day? And who will be gifted a portion of your time? I don't know if you ever thought of it that way. But I have a gift of one day that I get to spend any way I want to spend it. And if I spend it with you, I'm gifting you a part of my time. And time is so important because we're not guaranteed a tomorrow. We're not guaranteed 60, 70, 80 years of it. So we have to look at it. He says, number 2, commit some time to God. Now, I changed that. I don't think you should commit some time to God. I think you should commit the gift, the whole day, to God. That in everything that you do, God is seen in you. That when others see you, they see God. They see a little bit of who He is because they've seen you. So he says, commit each day to God. Well, when do you commit that to God? I tell you, my best time is when I first get up in the morning. Me and God have a talk. We go through our stuff. And I commit, okay, God, here's the day. Show me who needs you. I ask Him every day, give me someone that I can talk to for you. And then I step out the door. And Gary said in Sunday school class that the average prayer time of a preacher, and I knew this because we must have read the same article or something, but do you know what the average prayer time of a preacher is? The old in Sunday school, shh. Like that will make them think they missed something. See? What's the average prayer time on the day of a preacher? Take a guess. Somebody. Half an hour. Oh, you're wrong. Little high.
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Ooh. Little high. In this article, they said that the average prayer life of a minister is 5 minutes. And I said to Gary, I said, man, how sad. Because if I did 10, you did nothing. That's what it says. I mean, if the average prayer life of a minister is 5 minutes, what's your average? What's the average prayer time of an individual? Now, some of you are looking at me going, well, I pray for 20 minutes, right? I pray for half an hour. Great. How many people here get up and go through their day but don't pray? Can you go through an entire day and not thank God? But there are people that do that. There are people that happens. There are people out here in this world that never thank God. And it's up to us to shine Him, to show Him so that they get it, so they see it. Take time so others can see Him in you. So we've got spend the gift wisely, the day. Psalms 31:15 says, my time is in your hands. Is that a true statement? My time is in your hands. In other words, you've turned it all over to God. Okay, God, here's my day. Take it and run it. Exactly. Here, God, take my day and run it. But I got this to do and this to do. And see me at the end of the day. Let's see how much time we have left. If I have time. Yeah. So, number 3, set aside time for God and time for others. So you're not just taking time for God, you're setting a portion of time. I'll tell you, mine is in the morning. I get up and I listen to a couple songs or sing along with the songs to Him. Lauren Day has a great new song out. If you haven't heard that, you have to hear that one. Because that one will get you in a worship mood. Kind of thing. And then spend a little time in prayer. Open the Word and spend a little time. And it doesn't have to be earth-shattering. I mean, it was Wednesday morning that I read one verse. That was it. I read that one verse and it spoke so much that I was like, wow. I know it's here because it's written, it's always been here, but why did I never see that before? Why did I never experience that verse? And then you think about that verse as you go through the day all day long, it's just like, wow, that was really something to do. And so you take it through your day. But it's giving time to God. Not all, setting aside a specific special time that you meet with Him. Every time I mention that kind of stuff, the song from Lardell Harris pops into my mind where God is singing, "I miss my time with you." You got so busy today you never came to the bench that we always sit on and talk. You did something else, and I miss my time with you. Can you imagine God misses you? If you don't give Him that time, if you don't take the time to, He really does miss you. He misses that intimate moment when you get to share, and whether it's 5 minutes or a half hour, He misses that time. And so He's saying, set a special time up. And part 2 of that is, and set special time apart for others. I mean, I used to set time apart every Thursday for this guy that I was discipling and going to, and giving him time to talk to him and share with him about the Bible and stuff like that. It was a specific time and place that we would meet and do that, trying to show him who God was. Now, you know the results of that. I told you before that after a couple of years of that, he said, "I don't think this is for me." That's okay. I don't quit praying for him, but next. Because my time is important, and we have to see who we can get to and who we can share with and do those things. So you take a special part of your day and set it apart for others. And whether that is your mom and dad, whether that is your wife or husband, whether that's your kids or what, you take that special time and you make sure that you are there. Time with them. You'll never get it back. And finally he says, and this is one that we fail at, this is one I fail at, take time for yourself. Take time for yourself. You have to have time that you can look and say, okay, I need. Okay? I learned this through my heart thing and everything that the doctor told me I need more rest. I thought 4 or 5 hours a night was good. That's sufficient. But he says you need more rest. He said I needed more water. You drink a lot of stuff during the day, you drink more water. The only thing he told me I needed less of was weight. Then I said to him, he went to meddling. But the thing is we need to take care of ourselves. We need to meet our needs. We need to know what those are. What's one of your needs, Gary?
My needs?
What does Gary need to make it through the day?
Just time with God.
You need time to take that photo.
Yeah. I need quiet.
Right. Time that you do.
Time away.
And you make sure that you get that most of the time. You know, and I can go around this room and ask each of you, what do you need? Because we all have something that we need. Sometimes we need a little kid just to come up and hug our leg. Yeah. Hasn't done it yet, but he's getting close. But when you look at it, I mean, it's just that thing that you have needs that you've got to take care of so that you can be the best you to give to other people. You won't be the best you if you're tired. You won't be the best you if you're hungry. You won't be the best you if you didn't get the things done that you need to get done. I'm not the best me if I don't spend time in the morning with God. The rest of the day I sputter. It's just one of those things that I have to have. I mean, how do you handle the news you have cancer? How do you handle the news you had a heart attack? How do you handle the news that someone just passed away? How do you handle that if you haven't had that time with God? You know, I need that time with God so that I can handle all the other distractions in life that it brings your way, that is there. And it's that leaning on that God time that gets me through the other times. So when you read this scripture in Ecclesiastes, there's time for everything. It tells you there's a time to be with God, time to work. There's a time to play, there's a time to work. There's a time to do those things and to be a part of it. And you have to know what those times are. This is the time to get built up, be strengthened in God, and worship in that this morning. And then when we walk out those doors, it's going to be a different time. And when we walk out the door, we're going to figure out, okay, who needs my time today? I don't know if you thought about that before you came here, but when I leave here energized with God, who is going to need me when I walk out that door? And trust me, someone does. And whether that's a stranger or a family member or whatever, they're going to need you. And are you ready to be needed? Have you prepared for the time to be needed? Have you included it in your day? That you're set to do those things? Again, my day is a tentative day. I know tentatively what I have planned for today. My schedule is going to go, number one, it's important, I need it, lunch. Okay? And I don't know what lunch is, I don't know where lunch is, but it will be somewhere and we'll get something quick and we'll do our thing and we'll eat. We'll fellowship and spend some time with whoever we're with. And then my plan is that I got to take 12 gators to the farm that are sitting at the house in a trailer and get rid of those. And then I know that in that timing, somewhere in there, Drew and a couple of the guys are going to go to the other coast and meet up with family. They're going to take time away so that they can have family time with other members of the family. And then once they're gone, I have time with a couple of them that are left to do some other things that we're going to do. I mean, we talked about peacock bass fishing. We talked about other things. We'll see what it is. But the tentative day is there. But that phone call, that diversion in the day can show up at any time. And we have to be ready for those. You know, I've learned to plan my days that are loose, that I can do the things that I need to get done, and yet take off in an instant to go do something else. Time. The most important thing about time is it's yours. It's yours to spend how you'll spend it. It's yours to do what you want with it. You're not going to get any more of it, you're not going to get any less of it. 24 hours in a day. And how you spend it. I believe, like Billy Graham believed, that it's a gift from God. And so I've got to spend that day doing things for Him who gave me the gift. Who allowed me to still be standing here to preach the words or to say what we're saying and do those things. And so we'll include God throughout our day in what we're doing. I believe that, number two, God has to be in it. Not that He can be, but He has to. If I am His, He's got to be in every step that I take. He's got to be there in watching over and protecting and guiding and directing and doing those things that only He can do for us. I believe I've got to give Him time in the day, which we've done today. I believe that I've got to give others time of my day, which we'll do. And I believe I've got to take care of myself. I ought to have the time to mentally focus on what needs to be done. Physically focus on what needs to be done. Spiritually think what needs to be done. And run this life as God would have it to run. What about you? What about you? What about your time? What about your day? Are you yourself a gift from God? Is the day that you have today a gift from God that you're going to spend? And how are you going to spend it? And what difference will your life make in others? I know if I've had a successful day. when I lay down in bed and I look back on the day and I could say, I talked to so-and-so. I showed God to this person. I helped you. And I try to go through my day and see, okay, was it a successful day or did I blow it? And trust me, there are days you blow it. There are days you get out of bed and stumble, and you stumble through the entire day from that point on. You know, do those things, and that's okay. Because then I end my night with God. And I can tell them, I did this and did this, but I really blew it here. I had a grand opportunity to say something to somebody and I didn't say it. Or to say something and I made a joke out of it rather than tell them what they needed to hear. But I know this. In your time, you need God. And not 5 minutes of prayer like the average minister. Not just a thought in the morning, but you need God throughout your entire day. You need God to protect you from the time your feet hit the floor to the time you're taken back up into that bed. We need God. We need to spend time with Him. We need to give Him time. We need to show others time through Him. This morning, as you sit here, you're spending time. The minutes have clicked off the clock. It's been an hour and 2 minutes since we started announcements. You've gone through songs of worship and praise. You've communed with God at His table. You've given gifts back to Him to be used in His kingdom. You've heard His word. The rest of today is up to you. When we close out the service, it's going to be you. And what you do with your time with God today. And does He go with you? So this morning, if you're here and you've never given your life to Christ, maybe you want to talk to us about that. To start making your time more meaningful than it ever has been. Or maybe this morning you need to look at your life and say, man, I can do it. I can look back on several days this week and say, I really blew some time. I mean, I sat in a recliner chair for 2 hours yesterday and did nothing. And it was that final point, it was my time. And what am I going to do with those 2 hours of my time? Now, there's things I could have, trust me, there's things I could have done. But I thought, man, I'm a little tired, a little worn out, I'm just going to sit here. And now I know how it is. Dawn has a fan that blows on her chair. I was sitting in her chair. I might be buying a fan this week in part of my time. But your time. What are you going to do with your time? We're going to stand and sing a hymn of invitation, and you can decide in that moment with God what your time is going to be like. As we stand, we're going to stand and they told me this ahead of time, but my time is like, we're going to stand and the band is going to lead us in the invitation hymn. You just kind of pay attention to the words and stuff like that, right? Okay. So if we do that as we stand and they sing to us.
And as I preface this a little bit, the song's always on my I sing this song at funerals because of the need of Christ. And I always feel sad for the people there. But then, when you hear this, hopefully, when you hear the words of the song, maybe he's singing to me too. is torn, He's all you need. When you're confused, your soul is bruised, He's all you need. He's the rock of your soul, He's the anchor that holds through your desperate time. When your weight is unsure, His love will endure, and peace you will find. Through all your years, the joy, the tears, He's all you need. When you give in to that familiar sin, He's all you need. Guilt has you paralyzed, it slowly eats you alive. He's all you need. He'll be faithful to you, though your heart is untrue and your love's grown cold. His forgiveness is real, it'll comfort and heal your sin-weary soul. Well, God loves you so, He'll never let you go. He is all you need. He'll be faithful to you, though your heart is untrue and your love's grown cold. His forgiveness is real, it'll comfort and heal your sin-weary soul. Through all the years, the joy, the tears, He is all you need.
No truer words. I mean, He's all we need, and everything that we have in our lives, and everybody in this room is going through something. Everybody in this room has that old familiar sin. Everybody in this room, and God is all we need. Just give Him the time. Take time to meet Him where He is, and He'll change you. He'll use you. He'll make that experience you're going through seem as if it was nothing. We give it to Him. For the Lord in prayer. Father, we thank You so much for today, for the opportunity just to be Yours, to take time of our day and to give it to You. Father, that You can strengthen us, that You can be with us and guide us and direct us now as we depart, that, Father, as we leave, we're Yours. And there's people in this world that need us. They need us living a life for You, that they can see You in us. That, Father, they can come to know You. Help us to be that person, the hands and feet that go and do and say in Your name. Father, guide us, direct us, give us the time and the effort. We pray this in your Son's name.